Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the India Today eConclave Inspiration Series. I am Sushant Mehta, very pleased to be joined by one of my favorites, and I'm sure she's one of your favorites too, Vidya Balan, National Award winner. Vidya, firstly, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure entirely.
Vidya, I'm going to start because this is our inspiration series. Growing up, learnings, how were you as a teenager? Describe your childhood.
You know, it was a very secure childhood, I have to say. It was a very simple childhood. I was born and brought up in Mumbai in a little suburb called Chembur. And, you know, we had a sense of community. You felt like you were safe anywhere in Chembur and, you knew everyone. That was my world. And at home, it was just my parents, my sister, who's elder by 4 years, older to me by 4 years, Priya, and me. That's it. So it was, and I was a fat child. I was happy eating. I didn't want to go out to play. I didn't really like reading, but I would love to watch TV. And yeah, but I was a very sincere student in school. I worked very hard and I did well, but I had to work really hard for it, while I know a lot of others, including my sister, would just skim through the books and she'd do even better than me.
You told me once that you had a little problem because of your weight. Like you just said, I was a fat child. Can you tell our viewers, how did you overcome that feeling, of being bullied or feeling lesser than somebody else just because you were a little plump?
Yeah, I was not plump, I was fat, and I'm absolutely okay with it. And, I think we got this connotation, negative connotation to the word fat, which should be done away with. I was a fat child and I got a lot of attention because of that. People would pull my cheeks and say, oh, you're so cute and all of that to me. I loved all of that. But as I started growing up, the same thing became a problem. And not for me, but for the world. Apparently, people would tell me things like, oh, you've got such a pretty face. Why don't you lose weight? And I'd be like, how rude are you? I'm not telling you, why don't you grow some brains? So why are you telling me to lose weight? So I think I grew up feeling like I was very self-assured growing up. But then, especially in your teenage years, when you want attention from the opposite sex and you're not necessarily getting it from the people you want it, then I think that's when it becomes a problem. Then everything comes down to your weight. You feel undesirable. You feel like there's something wrong with you because you're fat. And I started doing all sorts of crazy things to lose weight. I remember at one time, I used to have 10 liters of water and no one realized this at home. But successively for a few weeks, at night I'd start puking and they'd be like, what happened to you? They obviously thought I had a stomach bug or something like that and took me to the doctor. And then I told the doctor, no, someone told me if you have 10 liters of water a day, you lose weight. And the doctor said, whoever said that to you is a stupid person because you not only lose weight, you lose the important nutrients in your food, and you lose energy if you have so much water. So please stop it right away. So I think there was a desperate need to be another body. And at various points, even after I'd finished my education and all that, especially after I became an actor, I wanted to lose weight desperately, and I'd lose weight and then it would come right back because I have a certain body type. Sushant, when I stopped fighting my body, and that didn't happen overnight, it happened over time. When I stopped fighting my body is when I started becoming healthier and happier. Because the body is what keeps you alive. And so many of us, spend our lives hating our bodies, which is so unfortunate. Because if you're hating the very thing that's keeping you alive.
I mean, that's a very important message for all of our viewers, I think, whoever is watching this program right now. But Vidya, tell me, did you always want to be an actor? Was that dream always there?
Always. I wanted to be a cardiologist very briefly. Because my father had a heart attack when I was about 8.5, 9 years old. And thankfully, he's, he recovered and he's absolutely fine, touch wood. But so at that time, I saw how important the cardiologist was in our lives. So I thought I wanted to be a cardiologist, but that was a passing fancy. But it was Madhuri Dixit who did it for me. I saw her in Ek Do Teen and I was like, oh my God, I want to be junior Madhuri Dixit. My sister had a brown silk skirt, which she never wore. So I would tie that around my head, twist it like Madhuri in that song. I would spend hours in front of the mirror dancing to Ek Do Teen, because we also had a mirror from floor to ceiling. So I was besotted like the rest of the country, and that's where the bug really got me.
Madhuri Dixit truly is magical. So from there, like, you wanted to be an actor. How did you go about your dream? How did you work towards it?
Did
you train?
No, I'm not a trained actor. I remember, I started after Madhuri, I started observing performances, and I remember watching Julie Lakshmi. I remember watching Shabana Azmi. Julie Lakshmi in some Tamil film that was showing on Doordarshan, because they used to show those Sunday evening films and Sunday afternoon films. And I watched that and I was like, wow, she's so good. And so I started, I think, watching a lot more, or rather I started watching with the intent of learning how to act. And after my 10th standard exams, one of my sister's friends told me that, there's a workshop at Prithvi Theatre. It's a 2-month production-oriented drama workshop. Would you want to do it? And I was like, wow, I want to do it. And then I started doing that. And I, of course, thought by the end of it that, I was Shabana Azmi. Because I thought, अब तो मैंने 2 महीने का थिएटर भी कर लिया है और शबाना आज़मी का घर पृथ्वी के एकदम सामने है, तो now I thought those great talent vibes are coming towards me. No, but that's how, one thing led to the other. And then I got into Xavier's. And at Xavier's, I did my first television serial, which never saw the light of day because it was for a channel that just bombed. It was a TV show called La Bellas. I started with Raman Kumar and Nityananda. That serial didn't take off, but all of us were then sent to Ekta Kapoor for a daily soap. She was starting. I auditioned and she gave me Hum Paanch instead. Yeah. Then, one thing led to the other, and that's how it happened.
Very interesting. So, your first meeting with Ekta when you were cast for Hum Paanch, and as you said, she was also just starting off. Both of you sort of parallelly were starting off. And the experience of Hum Paanch, what did that teach you? Because that was a very popular show.
Yeah, Hum Paanch was already on air. I replaced one of the actors.
Yeah.
But, I remember a few weeks before this happened, we were all watching Hum Paanch together. And my mother told me, if you really want to be an actor, you should do a show like this. Because to her, it was like a family entertainer. It was a decent show, good actors. And it was just fun. And then within a few weeks, I got Hum Paanch. I remember when I first met Ekta, she told me any other girl in your place would have been jumping if I told her that she was going to be part of the most successful show on television currently. She said, why do you not have a reaction? And I remember, I'm, so precocious of me, but I turned to her and I said, that's because I take everything with a pinch of salt. But it was wonderful. I remember getting along very well with Bhairavi, who played Kajal Bhai, and Vandana, who played Meenakshi, and Shoma Auntie. It was just, I was learning. I think I was very awkward. I was not well groomed. I was like an awkward teenager. I was all of, I think, 16 and a half, maybe 17. I don't know. When I started doing Hum Paanch, so I remember, even today when I watch it, I'm like, oh, no. But Hum Paanch was my beginning and I'll always cherish that.
Well, that's the best learning, I think, learning on the job. So from Hum Paanch then, moving on, was it like smooth sailing or did you have to struggle a lot before you landed that big role in your first film?
I had to quit Hum Paanch because I was studying at Xavier's and I was getting into the blacklist every month. So my parents told me, nothing doing. You are not, give all this up. You have to complete your education. And so I had to quit Hum Paanch, but I started doing ad films after that. I never had a portfolio or anything, Sushant. I just, I was doing another workshop with Nandu Ghanekar, and he said, his brother-in-law was looking to cast someone for an ad film, and he said, would you be interested? Because he was trying to get all of us, like, jobs or internships at places, and he realized that I wanted to be an actor. Everyone else there wanted to be either a writer or a director or an editor during that week-long workshop. So I said, yeah, I'll go and test. And I remember I went for the audition, and there were 40 models, and some of them were really well-known models at the time. My mother, sister, and I had gone together to famous studios, and we spent all day there. But at the end of the day, I got the ad film. And then I ended up doing a 90-odd ad films before my South films began to happen. So I think really one thing led to another. It's like they say, when you truly want something, the universe conspires to make it happen. That's what happened. I feel like I've not really been proactive in that sense towards realizing my dreams. I've just held it very close to my heart, and things have just happened. So I feel I've been really blessed and fortunate.
And tell me, the first feature film or the first film that really you thought that, okay, now I'm on the map, I've got recognition. When did that happen for you?
I think when I did my first feature film with Mohanlal in Malayalam, I got offered 7-8 Malayalam films after that, after the first schedule. The only problem was that after the first schedule, the film got shelved. So not only did the film get shelved, I also got replaced in all these films because I was labeled Jinx after that. They just felt that,
this is a very big problem, I think. They label people too soon. Ki ye jinxed hai.
Yeah, but it's also ridiculous,
It is.
Because I don't believe in these things at all. I'm not a superstitious person. So for me, when someone says, okay, if you don't, I don't think any success or failure can be attributed to anyone else. Sometimes things don't work out, but that does not mean, I don't know, I remember being heartbroken, Sushant. I got replaced in all those films. I did some Tamil films. I got thrown out of a very big Tamil film at the time. And I couldn't understand what was happening. And then I met Pradeep Sarkar, who cast me in Euphoria's Aana Tu Meri Gali, Kabhi Aana Tu Meri Gali, and that's what changed my life. Because after that, he made Parineeta with me, and he started training me actually, mentoring me, and then Parineeta happened. But also in between all this, I did a Bengali film, which was my moment when I felt, ki acha, ab jo ho. I've seen myself on the big screen once. That was a film called Bharat Teko.
Okay, but when you were thrown out of these films, how did you handle yourself? As you said, you were heartbroken. You must have had some nights where you were down and out. So when you hit rock bottom, how did you get back on your feet?
I obviously felt rejected. I was very angry. That anger would come out at my mother because my father would go to work. My sister and my brother-in-law had moved to another city. So it was my mom and me at home. And I would take out all my anger at her. She was trying to ground me with prayers and with meditation. She would tell me, why don't you sit and just pray? And I would just fight with her because I was feeling so helpless and angry and agitated, but I'm so grateful that my parents, understood where I was coming from. And I'm sure my mother was also hurt at various points.
Right.
But I think she realized how much this meant to me and supported me in every way. I also think that not that bad behavior should be, condoned. But not that bad behavior should be acceptable. But, I didn't know any better at that time.
Yeah.
You also take out your anger at your closest people.
Yeah.
But my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, they were like rocks. They were my pillars. They would constantly talk to me. I would go to the Sai Baba Mandir close to my house in Chembur and pray regularly. There were times when I went to bed crying. I would wet the pillow literally with my tears. I would feel like, okay, this is not for me. But next morning I would wake up feeling, okay, you know what, I'll give it one more day. That was a passion in me to be an actor, and I think that's what's helped me.
Buying the night away to being in that, honestly and with all sincerity, I'm saying, being in that Madhuri Dixit Sridevi sort of league where Vidya Balan, for a long time, there was this golden period where you were the hero of the film. And box office wise, critical acclaim wise, when you did Dirty Picture, Kahani, you remember all these films came back to back, even Bhool Bhulaiya, you were brilliant. So talk to me about that phase of your life.
You know, so when that happened, Sushant, now in retrospect, it seems like, wow, that was such a speed of successes. But at that time, I was just working.
Yeah.
I was going from one film to another.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, I was aware that, oh, I've gotten critical acclaim and commercial success, but I didn't give it too much importance.
You didn't register it because you were...
Yeah. You know, because
you were in that journey.
I'm also, you know, it's oftentimes people tell you things about yourself. I don't see myself necessarily like that, but when someone says to you that, you know, I see you as this, suddenly there were all sorts of tags attributed to me. And I think that's when around 2012, after Kahani, I began to probably feel like, oh my God, what has just happened? You know, people are telling me I have the Midas touch, and I was like, I've just been following my instinct. What Midas touch? I don't know. But you know, all of that I think also puts pressure, and then puts pressure on you because you're like, oh, now how do I maintain this success? I think that's the worst thing to happen to anyone. When you're just in the flow of things and you know, things work out, it's fine. But when you start trying to plan and figure and strategize, I think that's the end of it. It's very difficult to sustain that sort of success period if you actually start planning for that. You can't actually sustain. There's no 2 + 2 = 4 does not apply here. You know, so it's all about chance. I think the only thing you can do, which I started doing, is working on remaining positive, remaining grateful, so that whatever phase I went through, I was able to deal with it with equanimity. I'm not fully there yet, but I'm definitely better. One film that I specifically want to talk about is The Dirty Picture. That was just out of the blue. It was, you know, it was steamy and it was hot and it was unapologetic. Did you have any reservations signing that film? And once you were on board, how did you go about the character? You know, not me really. I didn't have any apprehensions. Also because you know, the moment I met Milan, he inspired faith in me. So I knew that he has a certain aesthetic, that it won't be cheap. Also, Ekta was involved, and she's a woman. So I knew, I've known Ekta, I started my career with Ekta, so I knew I was safe on those counts. But you know, there were people who told me, are you mad? You know, you're the girl next door, you can't be doing things like this. And I remember speaking to my parents at that time and saying, should I do it? And my parents, you know, they're obviously not from this industry, so they keep saying, no, do what feels right. And when I asked myself what feels right, the answer was loud and clear, do the film. So I went ahead and did it. And when you saw the costumes, and how did you go about the character? Because it was just something, as you said, you were the girl next door. It was nothing like you had ever done before. You know, as a child, my mom had made me wear shorts, and everyone teased me because I was really fat. So after that, I never worn shorts in my life. And during the first costume trial, Niharika Singh gave me a pair of hot shorts, hot pants, you know, and I came out in that, and I actually felt fully okay. Did you feel liberated in some sense? Yeah, you know, because also I remember they gave me a cigarette and a glass, like they wanted to do some pictures, and I didn't even know how to smoke at the time. You know, like I knew how to just put it to your mouth. I didn't know how to take it in. And I remember the first time Milan said, just try taking it in. And I coughed like a maniac. But suddenly I felt like, I think I had already been speaking to Milan about the character. And I had started my dance rehearsals. and Pony Verma, the choreographer, would keep telling me more and more thrust, more thrust. So, slowly I think I was letting go of my inhibitions. Maybe that's why when I wore those shorts and came out, I was absolutely fine. Because also, there was no expectation to be perfect.
Yeah.
I was not expected to have the perfect body in the shorts.
Yeah.
Because Silk was well endowed. She was big.
And the national award, did you ever imagine that would happen?
No, not at all. I think that was very special because when you see the kind of films or the kind of performances that have received the national award, a film like The Dirty Picture or a character like Silk feature nowhere in that list.
Yeah.
And therefore then for Silk, for me to have gotten it for Silk was all the more special. And that the citation that they gave me so beautifully, articulated or worded, that was...
It was amazing and you totally deserved it, Vidya.
Thank you.
Tell me something. I want to know some of your behavioral patterns that you thought were detrimental for you and you worked on. Since this is Inspirations, we want to know from you, what did you work on?
I think growing up a fat girl, you're always hoping that your niceness will make up for your lack of desirability. So you overcompensate with your niceness. You let yourself be a pushover. I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but I know a lot of fat girls and boys who shared the same experiences with me. So often you're like, people walk all over you and you allow that. And I worked hard at changing that. I worked hard at valuing myself in my body the way I am, big, small, whatever, just the way I am, not wanting to change my body, because everything would finally come back to the body for me.
Yeah. Right. Biggest challenges you faced in the film industry, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Biggest challenges I faced, I think, a lot of times when I received criticism, Sushant, I thought that, the world is against me. That's not true. It's 2, 4, 5 journalists who've written something and it's their opinion. It does 5 journalists don't the world make. I think, I remember in 2007-8 when I was being criticized heavily for my weight and my clothes, I remember it felt like, the world is against me, that it's become a national issue. But no. No, it wasn't a national issue. But obviously for me, it was too much to process. So I felt like everyone was looking at me like I was a loser. That I should be ashamed for the way I dress. I should be ashamed because I'm so big-bodied. But I'm so glad, I started working with a healer a few years ago. And I cannot even tell you how much that's helped me in letting go of all that baggage of the judgments around my body that I had of my own body. I've learned to love and accept myself more each day. And I think it's very helpful to speak to someone. Of course, if you can speak to your own people, it's great. But sometimes it's nice to speak to someone who's not emotionally invested in you. Because when someone feels for you, they want to, sometimes they don't just listen. They want to give you solutions. They're feeling protected. They get affected. So I think whether it's a therapist or a counselor or a healer, if you can speak to someone, great. Because the pressures on all of us, not just as actors, today the pressures on all of us are very, very high.
Okay, Vidya, final question to you. What has inspired you in your life?
I think every individual, and particularly every woman who's trying to live her life on her own terms, inspires me. With honesty and integrity, with compassion and value for herself.
Right. Vidya Balan, more power to you. It's always great, lovely talking to you. And thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us on India Today eConclave.
Thank you, Sushant. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.